Back in the 90s, I watched blossom like every other girl my age. I had a blossom hat, I had a crush on her boyfriend, and then the show went off the air and I forgot about her. In 2002, a random idea came across my head. Whatever happened to Blossom? I Googled her so that she could join Partners in Torah where I work so that we could have a telephone learning partnership. Well, after a little bit of Googling, I realized that celebrities don't list their numbers. 4.5 years later, she signed up for Partners in Torah on her own, and we were matched. You may be wondering why we're standing in the middle of a parking lot. Well, the thing is, it's not any old parking lot. Today we're here at Warner Brothers, and we've come to LA to film Mayim, to hear about her story of learning and Torah observance in the middle of Hollywood. Have a little chitty chat. Okay, so thank you so much for sitting with me today and talking to us about your journey. What was your impression or thoughts about Orthodox Jews before we met?
Well, my mother was raised Orthodox, but in a very different time. She was born during World War II, and my grandparents were immigrants. It felt like she grew up in Eastern Europe, but in the Bronx. And with that came a lot of misperceptions she had, things that she thought were Orthodoxy, but in fact were just kind of my grandparents. And a lot of that negativity was passed on to me. But in general, my perceptions were that we had a religion of pointless rules, that women were seen as dirty or incompetent, or not equal in value to men.
How did your impression change, hopefully, after we met, after we started learning?
It's very hard to explain in a concise manner. It was really a process of you really kind of stripping down a lot of those misperceptions and teaching me really the structure and the basis for Jewish thinking in general, the way Torah thinking and Torah living evolved historically. What developed from that was really you giving me room to have my own relationship with God or my own relationship with Jewish law.
What has Hashem added to your life?
My awareness of the presence of something bigger than me intensified as I took on more observance. The sense of not being alone, even when I feel alone, is one of the greatest benefits for me of having a relationship with God. And I feel like my acceptance of the human situation is only better because I have faith in a larger plan for us all. So if you don't believe in God, don't worry, I do. It's so weird.
You're gonna be back on television, God willing.
I am executive producing and starring in a show. I'm producing it with Jim Parsons and his company.
Will you have more flexibility, do you think, in terms of the Jewish stuff?
I don't know if as many Gentiles in the world knew about Shmini Atzeres until I got to be the executive producer for a show. I do hope that it's a tremendous force of good for the people around me to hopefully see someone who is doing my best to balance a religious life and, for all intents and purposes, a secular one. I take you, as a very good example of how to do, outreach in a way that's not threatening. What you have taught me and what I get from what you do and what I hope I can, pass on, is the notion that it is everyone's right to decide what kind of life they want to live once they have the information about it. Just like it's a human right, I believe, for people to have health care and access to water and medicine, it is a human right as a Jew for you to know your book. When people think of religious observance, I know what people think. And the fact that I had such a vibrant, intelligent, thoughtful, rational human person as my teacher made a tremendous amount of difference. And I think that if my mother had known someone like you when she was a young woman, her life would have taken a totally different course. The notion that this is also what our tradition can hold, and we don't have a monolithic God that has one way that we present ourselves, one way we think, and one way that we're allowed to act. And you gave me room to question, you gave me room to be angry, you gave me room to not like things. But we don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. There are things that you struggle with, there are things that I struggle with. that's all part of our human existence. And I really do feel tremendous gratitude to you for helping me navigate it with grace, and literally with the grace of the God of our understanding. So thank you.
And I just want
Just a love fest here.
You should be blessed to have many long and healthy years
Thank
to
you.
continue illuminating and using
Thank you.
your platform for the good. And
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You too.
For the people that are following you, for your fans, for the ones that may be inspired or touched, what do you hope? Because I know that you're very
I hope they go to your website, because you explain it better than I do.